Got my man Tonino on the show today.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Nice. Thanks for accepting the invite to be on the show.
Thanks for having me at the show.
And you mentioned that it's the first time for you being on a podcast, or was it a second time?
Yeah, well, I would say this is the first official time.
Oh, okay.
I got a small interview from a guy that saw one of my tweets about one of my projects, and he was curious about what I was developing. But it was a very short format, like 7 minutes interview on a specific platform. Now I don't remember the name, but just for podcasts, like short format, like 7-10 minutes.
Yeah,
that was
nice.
So this is the first big one.
The first big one. Yeah. Oh, we're honored as well to have you on the show. Yeah, actually, funny story. Like I've been working with Sytac for about 4 years now, and I think within the first month that I joined, you did an S Lab.
Oh,
you know, those workshops that we organize. We organize those regularly at the company, and we had to build a car. Do you remember?
Oh yes, of course. I think Marian was the organizer.
Oh yeah, but
I was also there.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah. Okay. But it's crazy. Like 4 years later, I get to interview you. So it's a pretty good opportunity to also to get to know you a little bit better.
For sure.
And to reintroduce you to the community because you're one of the most, I guess, the most influential people in Sytac, especially on the consultant community side of things. So we see you a lot. We see you organizing workshops. We see you, giving talks, and you were also at some point chapter lead within the company.
Yes.
Yeah. So, How does it feel? 8 years you've been with us.
Yes, almost 8 years. Creeping in, 7 years and a half, feeling old already. But for who doesn't know me from the audience, my name is Tonino Catapano. I worked here at Sytac for around 7 years and a half by now, almost 8. I'm mainly a back-ender engineer, so I mainly work with Java technology, JVM technology, but I like to tinker with a bit of everything, also front-end, IoT technology, and even tinkering with electrics things. Maybe we'll talk about it more later with drones. So feels nice, feels good. Starting to feel like a proper setup here at Sytac. So
the company changed a lot, right?
Yeah, for sure. I saw major changes for sure. Moved from a smaller group to nowadays. I think we have over 100 people.
Over 100 people, definitely. Yeah.
So definitely, I felt like
for the
a lot of changes over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you mentioned something about you being like, trying to or tinkering with different technologies and stuff. I see you posting regularly on the JavaScript chat, on the private group with the chapter leads part, and also the Java side. Amazing to see. And I also saw a message from you yesterday or something. You said, Uncle Elon Musk, like screwed us or something like that.
Usually, I mean, Elon is a person that I had a lot of respect in the beginning, but lately I'm not really in tune with the choices he's making and his presence over the internet. Back in the days when I still had he had less of a relevance on the internet. He was more focused on building stuff. It was quite an inspiration for me. But nowadays the last news from yesterday, Twitter API just went from free or semi-free to a very weird pricing model where you have for free basically nothing. Then for €100 a month, you have, I think, up to 10,000 requests, which is per month, which is very, very little for doing anything. Just for reads, also, just for writing tweets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the second layer up there is 42,000 a month. Yeah. Which is insane.
From $100 a month all the way to 42,000
like
per month.
Yeah, per month.
Okay.
So basically, what they're doing is killing completely every business that relies on APIs from Twitter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's like, what?
That's crazy. And it's like, if you give that amount of limited reads, it's like you're losing out on the real-time effect of the actual platform, because you cannot just like fetch the data and store it somewhere. You have to like...
Yeah, it's crazy. There are so many medium and small businesses based on Twitter APIs that this is going to impact so many people. And on Twitter, everyone is already like going crazy. And
how is it affecting us?
How is it affecting us? That's a very good question. Like we have the dev case for the backend that is based on a Twitter API with our own private keys. That we use to screen people that applies for backend positions. And this was a historical dev case. It was created by invented by one of the former CTO of Sytac, Carlos Sciolla. And from back then, we never changed it because it was so good. And it gave us the possibility of understanding how a person develops code in a very short amount of code. So you can see many faces. It was really great. And it was about streaming API from Twitter.
Yeah. So the dev case, just for people who don't know, is like to screen candidates before joining us as a consultant. You have to do this coding challenge, and the coding challenge, it's like an app that you have to implement.
Exactly.
And then it's based on the Twitter API. So when he pulled the rug, it's like he pulled the rug literally from under us with that new pricing model.
Yeah, exactly. Having so many applicants nowadays. Literally block us from using it, and
we had like a line of candidates waiting to do the dev case, and
and the actual even the €100 a month pricing plan wouldn't include the streaming API that we were using, so we are out of business in that sense. But stay tuned. Luckily, we are working on a new dev case, so it's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So you're taking lead on that, and I saw it. So tell us how we're replacing like a third-party API in this sort of...
So this was a discussion actually that was going on for a while in the chapter leads, among the chapter leads, and was the idea to replace this case with something different, specifically something that wouldn't rely on third-party APIs. So we want to have something that is contained, it's ours. And of course, if you don't want to rely on anything external, the best possibility that you have is to running like a mock server, right? So having something that we run, we put it in the cloud, and people would consume it.
Makes sense, yeah.
So basically freeing from any third-party application. This was the idea for a while, and the new dev case that is currently in development relies on this idea. So we created a Docker image with a set of mock data, invented data, that the new applicants will run on their machine through Docker, with Docker. And with that, they will just try again to solve not a puzzle, but let's say a series of requirements, very similar to the old dev case, I would say, just a bit more advanced, maybe, if you like. But this is...
I like this approach, because when you give people like an open assignment like this to do, it's like asking an open question. You let in the person express themselves in code and architecture and all that, and you get to see their whole the way they're thinking, right? Because that's the most important thing, right? As opposed to sometimes when some companies, they just give you like a hacker rank type of thing, which is not really, I don't know, it's like...
It's quite interesting to design such a dev case, because you need to write it in a way that in the shorter amount of time, because people don't really have time to do all these tests to apply to a company. So in the shortest amount of time, the shorter amount of code, you can see all the facets of a developer. How can he implement this sort of functionality? What is his coding style? Did he write unit tests, etc.?
Okay, interesting. And for the people who don't know, like we're always on the lookout for talent, software engineers, DevOps people, and so forth, for our to come work with us, and we offer a range of projects within different clients. Currently, you are with.
Currently, I'm back at KLM.
KLM. Oh, okay. Yeah. Exactly. How can you tell us a little bit what you do there?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been working at KLM for quite a long time, back in 2017 till 2020. Then I had a break, and now I'm back again, but in a different project.
Okay.
Currently, I'm working in the IFC team, or in-flight connectivity team. And put it in a nutshell, is the project responsible of putting the Wi-Fi on the plane. On all the fleets of Air France and KLM. So we are currently scaling up and try to cover the 100% of long-haul flights, and we are starting to cover also the short-haul, for shorter flights.
Okay. So this is I've been wondering about this for a while now. When you're on a plane, right, on a flight from, let's say, from A to B, you get access to Wi-Fi, right? But how does internet get to the plane in the first place?
Yeah. I was wondering the same. Magic. The answer is magic. No. Is
there a standard technology that is being used, or?
Yeah, the standard technology used is satellites. So basically, there are these planes that have Wi-Fi on board. There is one part of the plane, the top, that's like a little bump, if you see it in the kind of like middle part.
Yeah.
And that is the satellite antenna. And basically, it receives signal from satellite, and then it just broadcasts it to an internal server, and the server kind of acts like a router to deliver it to, an SSID to deliver it to the people, to the people on the plane.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, you need a system of screening who have access, what type of access they have, and for that we have a vouchering system. Okay. So you can use an existing voucher, or you can buy with your credit card on board and say, okay, for this flight I just want messaging.
Yeah.
So it's free usually with Air France KLM.
Yeah.
Or for this flight, since it's a long flight, I want full streaming capabilities.
Okay.
So I want to watch Netflix, for example.
Okay.
So in that case, you pay a bit more and you get more bandwidth.
Yeah.
And
Come on, man, that's amazing. And then it's like, okay, so in this project, so you're trying to hook up the Wi-Fi into the plane, so there's two parts. You mentioned the part where the signal gets from the satellite to the receiver on the plane, and then the plane, the second part is basically serving it to the customer. Yeah. Which part are you working on right now?
Yeah, that's the cool part. I'm working full stack, so I'm working on 100%.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah. I touch from web server stuff to backend services on ground. Yeah. Ground services to the server that we're running on the plane, to also a bit of front end, because of course we're also providing a web interface to interact and buy and purchase vouchers. I cannot go too much in details.
No, that's cool. That's cool, and that's super cool project, I guess. How do you just like, my curiosity is dragging me now? How do you get to test like the satellite part when you're? Because you work with KLM, right? You work, I'm guessing, from an office or from home, or where, how do you, is there like a simulator or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Exactly. That was also my main question.
Yeah.
And to be honest, which is one of the challenges that we have at this project. The best use scenario would be to have an aircraft on ground, always with us, or maybe that we can just run over Schiphol, flying it around and test, right? Yeah. That would be the best case scenario. So you have the proper hardware. And by the way, there are multiple hardware that we support also. But that's not possible, right? So the challenge here is to have some sort of simulated hardware or simulated environment that would try to replicate as close as possible the situation that you get on plane. So we have a different type of simulated environment, one that is just on our side and other that are on the manufacturer side of the satellites. And with a combination of both, we try to cover as much tests as possible.
Yeah,
it's not always the case. It's not always possible to cover everything. There is always something that goes a bit differently when you have the real hardware, let's say. But we are pretty good, I would say. We are getting better and better, and we always try to automate and make things a bit easier, I would say, because there is a lot of technicalities involved, as you can imagine. Like you need to connect to a private secure connection first, and then do all sort of checks.
Yeah, there's a lot of points where this can go wrong, right? Cool, man. That's amazing. And I'm gonna go geek out on this topic for sure. Because like one of the things also is lurking in my mind, like how does the internet go to the satellite in the first place? But we will tackle this one later if we have time. So you're working now on planes, internet on planes, which is fucking cool, with KLM for a while now. And I guess that doesn't deviate too much from your other passion that I know you from, which is...
this is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to join this project, is because they rely heavily on TypeScript and Node.js, and I wanted a bit to let's say fortify my knowledge on that front. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm mainly a backend Java guy, so a JVM type of guy. But I also have a side project of mine that relies on TypeScript, JavaScript. So I wanted to kind of like refine a bit my skills while also providing some good work for KLM, one of our clients.
That's a pretty meaningful experience. I was gonna say piloting drones. Because like aircrafts. So. Yeah, you're a professional drone pilot, correct?
Drone pilot, I'm a certified drone pilot, like a hobbyist license, not one of the professional ones for big shoots. But I'm a certified pilot. I'm mainly fly drones in FPV mode, which is one of my main hobbies, one of my main passions outside work. FPV, for the people who doesn't know, it means when you put goggles on your face and you see the video feed directly in your goggles in first person. Basically, that's what it stands for.
Interesting.
And I do this for a while. I do this since 2016. 2016. And it's a great hobby. I love everything about it. And it's not just flying drones, it's also building them, repairing them. It gives me a lot of happiness because you feel super free. When you put your goggles, you literally feel like an eagle or something diving down.
Going into it.
It's really, really cool. But it's a full hobby because it allows you also to, build, solder the parts together, understand how they work, test it. Sometimes they smoke. You see smoke coming out and says, "Oops."
Yeah. Okay. it's also like specific type of drones, right? It's not like the commercial drones that you see.
No, it's not commercials. It's FPV drones. It's a whole category, but it's rising. So there are way more pilots nowadays. But it's basically like a carbon frame with 4 motors, and then you add the flight controller, the ESCs, and the batteries, and the FPV system for the video. So you join all these parts together, it becomes like a small drone, like a 250 millimeters, something like that.
The way you describe it, you built it yourself?
Yeah, I built several myself. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. At the moment I have a fleet of around 6, I think. But because I always sell the old ones, otherwise they deprecate in cost. So whenever I don't use them anymore, I replace them.
Wow. Okay. So and is there like a operating system inside of it that is driving it, or?
Yeah, it's a flight controller. I fly an open source of how do you call it? Firmware. An open source firmware called Betaflight.
Okay.
And basically you just write it on these things called flight controllers, that are very specialized type of controllers for drones. And from there you have to configure it a little bit, then tune it to make it fly, even though nowadays they fly already great from the factory, but you have to tune it a little bit to make it fly a little bit better. And and then just, for example, select what you want to see in video, because it kind of looks a bit like, you know, the Iron Man HUD that you see with all the statistics. While you fly, you can see, I don't know, the height, or you can see the speed you're going, or you can see where the direction of home is if you install the GPS.
That's pretty cool.
So you can decide what to see. Also the level of horizon.
I can imagine. It's crazy.
So you can kind of like tune it and configure it like you like. But the firmware is pre-made, is an open source firmware that I use, and you can just have fun with it.
It's amazing. So and it's also a good excuse to travel, right?
Oh yeah, I always bring it with me whenever I go to fancy places, like exotic places. It's my favorite, especially if there are mountains.
You don't even have to climb the mountain.
Usually I stand at the bottom, and then I let the drone go on the top and come back to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
they go pretty high, right?
Yeah. You can easily go 5 kilometers. In theory, even 13, but usually 5 is the limit for the battery, because that's the bottleneck.
Right. Amazing. I should have asked first. So you're originally from Italy?
Yes.
Right. How long have you been in the Netherlands?
Just exactly how long I've been working with Sytac.
Oh wow! Okay.
I moved here because
for the job.
Yeah, for the job.
Okay.
I was hired by Manuel, one of the manager recruiters here, and since then I've been staying with Sytac, so it's around 8 years now, staying in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But I still don't speak Dutch like you. I wanted to tell you, really surprised me with your Dutch skills.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because last time you were speaking in English, and then I saw you, I don't know, after 6 months or something, and you were speaking fluent Dutch with Dutch people, and I was like, wow, inspirational.
I appreciate it, man. I think it's a great environment, a great country to live in. There's a lot of like good things to do here, like a lot of companies to work for, a lot of options for projects, and overall it's international, which is nice to see. That's like usually the style of companies that I like to work for, when it's more like people from different types of the world, because it gives you more, like. And I think Sytac is like a cross pollination of many countries.
For
so
sure.
We have a lot of Italian people.
For sure.
We have a lot of people from South America and all over the world, which is amazing. Can you tell me one of your your favorite Sytac moments?
Yeah.
In the 8 years that you've been with us?
Of course. You probably heard this a lot, but I have to repeat it once more. I'm sorry, because I watched your previous podcast video.
Okay.
I have to say it one more time. I'm sorry. It's a ski trip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Over the years, it's always been my favorite time of the year with Sytac, but also in private life, I would say. A moment to relax, a moment to have fun with colleagues, and I have so many great moments. I can mention maybe one. Last year when we went sledging with sledge, right before that they give us some hollow tires that we could use to slide over a small hill. It was incredibly fun. It was just half an hour or something, but we had a blast. It was really great.
It's a good adrenaline shot,
Sure.
Do you get that like when you're I'm going back because I love it, like when you put the goggles on?
Absolutely.
Do you get it as well?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you put the goggles on, the adrenaline rush that you get when you fly, it's insane, because you need to be really quick at the sticks, because you're going 120 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So you need to be really quick with your movements and be able to correct really quickly. And you're going down these crazy views, crazy places that you've never seen from that perspective.
Yeah.
So the adrenaline rush is really great. Is really good.
Yeah.
So what I say is, like, if you know the wingsuit, the guys that jump over the mountains, it's kind of like I would say a small portion of that. So it's like kind of like if you want to try a wingsuit, but you don't want the risk associated. So if you crash the drone, not your life.
Gotcha.
Try FPV.
Right. So you heard it here first from Tonino. If you want to see if you like what is it called? Wingsuit jumping.
Yeah, wingsuit jumping.
Try
if you want to try wingsuit jumping, first try FPV on top of the mountain, and in case you crash, you just crash your drone and not your life. Big tip.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, that's amazing, man. I would love to try it one time. Not the wingsuit part, like the FPV part. Cool. And so like you're focusing on KLM at the moment as a project. You also have your side projects. You're also involved with the piloting of drones, which is great. How do you juggle all these things?
That's a very good question, I would say. Well, I would say I focus on one topic at a time. So for sure, there is always a day-to-day job that you need to do. But then I have one thing that I focus per, let's say, month, I would say. So for example, my drones, I haven't flown since October when I was in Madeira. I haven't touched that whole package for a while. So right now I'm focusing more on video editing skills. I'm trying to get a bit better in that. Also try to stay up to date with what's going on nowadays with AI and the future of everything, of our society, I would say.
Exactly.
And what else? Nowadays I'm also whenever I have a little bit of time, I try to update my side project in the weekends mainly.
Do you want to tell us about the side project?
Shortly. It's just an app for FPV pilots, so for drone pilots, specifically FPV, but not only. And it's an app that allows you to find spots where you can go to fly, because it's always hard to find good spots. So it's kind of like a big map where you can see in every country where to go fly. The most important feature, in my opinion, is the fact that you can see also where the pilots are residents, and you can also change your own residence base if you're traveling or not. And whenever someone new pops up in your area, you receive a notification, and you can check together and connect through our Discord. And perhaps go fly together.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The name of the app is FPV Buddy, written fpvbuddy.app all together.
So we'll drop a link here.
And basically, the idea was born because flying FPV with your goggles alone, with the current regulation in Europe, is not allowed. You need a spotter, you need a buddy that look out while you put the goggles, because you need to be aware of the surroundings. So by having another person, you can kind of like enjoy the hobby in a safe and legal manner, basically. So that's where the idea came from. That's why I call it FPV Buddy. You have a buddy to go fly with.
Amazing idea.
Yeah. And so I hope that the community, the FPV community around here, around in Europe, but also all around the world, would make use of this app to find a buddy to go.
For sure. We'll drop a link here for people who are interested. And I guess you guys are in production, right?
Yeah, we are in production. I'm still totally in development phase, so kind of like semi-beta version. But currently in production, I think around 300 users, not many actives, but 300 registered users. Try to improve.
For sure, we'll promote it here as well. And are you looking also, because you're a pretty experienced guy, and you're in between teams right now, so are you looking for contributors to the project as well?
Contributors, I'm not sure. At the moment, I would like still to keep it in my own backyard, let's say. But for sure, if I'm going to expand more and I will need more help, for sure.
Right.
And I might open source maybe a little part of the apps. So some part probably I might release. But yeah, I'm trying to add everyday new features. So this is just two of the features that I mentioned.
Yeah.
I also have a battery calculator checker for airplanes, for FPV pilots. So you can see if you have a battery size that is allowed on a plane, because there are certain regulations for lipo batteries that you can bring on a plane.
Yeah.
So with this tool, you can check. Okay, I have this size battery. I have 3 of these, 2 of these. Does it still?
Oh, you mean when you're traveling with your drone?
When you travel with your batteries from drone on a plane.
Okay. Can you take your drone with you on a plane?
Yeah.
Oh, you can,
Sure.
no problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Okay. Interesting. It's like bringing a pet or something, I guess. In a way, or do you have like? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I put them. It's okay. I put them on the top of my my backpack, and I always get questions from security people like, "What is this?" Because I remove the props, obviously.
Yeah.
So they just see this electric thing like monster.
Yeah.
And they go like, "What is this?
What
is
is
this drone?" I said, "Yeah." Because sometimes I always have like 2 or 3 attached to my backpack when I travel. So people are always very curious, but it's always very positive encounters. I never.
Amazing, man. I keep going back to it because I think it's super cool to do. Especially like, I guess you've done your fair of piloting or flying drones during the Corona time, right?
Also during Corona times, yes.
Yeah.
And it kind of helped me. Of course, when I was allowed to go out, there was no lockdown. It's quite nice, especially when you had no people to relate, no people to connect with, because it's not allowed to be inside the households of other people. It was really grounding for me to fly drones. Ironically, that flies in the sky. That's
amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
I've had quite a few people in the show that told me that one of their worst moments with the company were during the Corona lockdown period. Life is always ups and downs. Can you tell us like your least favorite moment with the company?
Yeah, for sure.
So far.
In my case, was definitely not the Corona time.
No. Okay.
No, was not Corona time, because for me it was a moment of change, a moment of growth, and I used so much extra free time from not commuting around. It gave me space to explore, to learn. I learned a bit more front end, so it was a moment of growth and
self-reflection, right?
Self-reflection.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a bit scary in the beginning, but when I noticed that the situation was manageable, I enjoyed being a bit at home. I enjoyed it. I must be honest.
Yeah.
In the beginning. After 1 year, it started to get a bit.
Sure. No, I understand. I'm also a quiet dude
much.
as well. I'm also a little bit on the. I like to recharge at home.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like if it was up to me, I wouldn't leave the house for a while.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't show. People tell me, "Well, but it's really nice to be able to do that." Like, But sorry, I cut you off.
Sorry, I cut you off. That was
no
just
problem.
my intro.
No.
Yeah. Least moment in Sytac. Probably it was coinciding with the beginning of the pandemic, and it was the moment when a lot of people from KLM had their contract terminated. So KLM was impacted pretty heavily by the pandemic, because all the flights were landed, and of course I was working at KLM at the time, and together with many other people, our contracts were terminated, and so it was a pretty stressful moment, I would say, because it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like there was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what was happening with the pandemic. We still didn't know how bad it was or okay it was. So that moment, I remember we had a lot of people on the bench. There was a bit of stress. So I would say the beginning of pandemic, the first month, or maybe a bit before that, first 15 days, there was a bit of a sad moment, I would say.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm sorry to take you back to that moment.
No,
a lot of
as I mentioned, after it was pretty good. Because
I
had more time for myself and.
Yeah. No, I understand. And a lot of uncertainty is also coming with this whole wave of artificial intelligence. Yeah, we just before this chat here, we were talking about how like it's revolutionizing a lot of fields. Yeah, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I went into the rabbit hole, I think, last weekend, and I started digging a bit of information because, it's a hot topic. Is whatever you look online nowadays has everything related to AI or ChatGPT or Stable Diffusion or anything that is AI. So my take was like, is this just another hype, like NFT 2 years ago, or is something that is to stay? And the opinion that I have at the moment is that I think it's a technology that is going to stay. So I don't think it's just a hype. I used now for a few months technologies like ChatGPT or Copilot a little bit, and I saw the potentiality, the potential, and I think our society will change. Will change for sure, and I think it's going to be for the good. Again, it's just important that we will make the right choices now, very soon, because this can go also very bad. It can go in the wrong direction pretty easily. But the only question is how fast is going to be the change in society due to this technology. The change is going to happen for sure. If it's more mellow, if it's more like a gradual change, then there's not going to be any problem, because just like with the Industrial Revolution, new jobs will be created and will be slowly replacing the old ones. But if it's too sudden, then we might get into problems. So I would say it's more related to the timing.
And how much brakes can we put on it also, on regulation and all that, right?
Exactly. So you need to regulate it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I try to like from that, every now and then to keep up with the news personally, but I also try not to dig into it. Sometimes find myself in the rabbit hole, like you said, and it just gives me some bad emotions. So I'm like, okay, just give it a break, and then But yeah, it's.
I have very positive emotions from using these tools, and as long as they stay as tools that help you and make you a better person, better developer, I think it's going to be great. Actually, it makes you faster, makes you more productive.
You're an optimist.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimist so far at the moment. But we need to make the right choices, especially from the higher floors, from political points. They need to make the right choices at the moment, regulated for sure. One thing that I read was pretty interesting to me is that OpenAI is the first company that asked for regulation on AI, which is quite interesting, because if you work in a field, you don't want to be regulated, right? Like you want to have as much power as possible, but they actually requested it because they know how dangerous a tool like this can be. We can have literally like false information that looks super original, like generated by AI content continuously, like in the coming years, and it's like it's gonna be a real trouble distinguish fake news from real news, because it's gonna be pretty good, like fake pictures, fake videos, AI generated pictures, AI generated videos, AI generated articles. So there is some work to do there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm more optimist than pessimist.
That's pretty good
at the
to
moment.
know. Yeah, it's good to know. Yeah. Back to your. So right now, as far as I know, we're also at the company where we invest in on the field. We're trying to expand, our hiring. As far as I know, policy to include people who are, AI researchers, AI engineers, and so forth, which is nice. What's next for Tonino?
What's next? Oh, that's a very good question.
What are you busy with these days? Do you have any plans for the short term? What's going on in your life?
What's going on? Well, big changes for sure, but in general, my plan is to continue working as a developer still until developer jobs are still available before AI takes over. Joking. No, continue work as a developer at the clients, and also continue working on my side project when I have some time, and and nowadays I'm getting more into videos. So I want to get more into a routine in releasing videos, specifically more technical oriented videos, but also not. So I think this is what is taking my days mostly nowadays.
Right.
This is where I'm going next, I guess.
Great, amazing. I guess we're getting close to the end of this chat. Well, before I would like to ask you a very, question, like a very, how do you say that? Itching questions that I like to ask usually people who are, technologists is how would you, so you've been through all this, you had this accumulated this experience working in different fields, different people, different companies and so forth. How would you, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is interested in the field now? To get started.
Field, you mean like
technology, becoming a developer, an engineer, whatever it is. What kind of advice would you give them, especially with these changes in the world happening?
My advice would be, first thing first, find something that you're obsessed about. So find a niche or a technology that you're obsessed about, and you can relentlessly work on it while not getting bored. Don't do this because you want to get a job that maybe is kind of like high paid, or at least kind of. So that would be my first advice. The second advice would be nimble and be really quick to adapt to changes and new technology. So don't be scared if there is a new language. Don't be scared if whatever you learned is obsolete, like a framework, for example. So try to have always that plasticity of continuous learner.
Interesting.
So don't be like, okay, I'm a Java developer, this is my work now, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Because as we will see, probably things will change. Probably all of our titles will be slightly different in the future.
Yeah.
So if you want to start to get into this mindset of, okay, I have to be nimble, keep learning. Technology is like an evolving beast, so be ready to tame it.
Wow, that's amazing advice, man. Thank you so much. I guess it also applies in life in general, right? Like the more flexible you are, the more comfortable with change you are. I guess it's
sure.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much.
If you get that trick right, you will always be on top of all the technologies. So be a fast learner, quick to read and change things.
Great advice and great chat, man. I really had fun talking to you today. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks again for having me. It was really nice.
And today we had Tonino on the show. It was a great chat. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. And
take care.
Hey, subscribe. Subscribe.
Subscribe. Hit that button.